Energy prices are on the rise and supplies remain limited as summer driving season kicks off. What's it going to take to get record-high gas prices back to pre-pandemic levels? Joining me now is S&P Global Vice Chairman and author of The New Map, Energy, Climate, and the Clash of Nations, Daniel Yergin. So, Dan, DataTrek reported Friday that gas consumption has actually slowed a little bit over the past 7 weeks. Are high prices starting to change consumer behavior? And if not, how high do they have to go before consumption falls enough to maybe push prices down again?
Well, remember, the United States is part of a global market. So what's happening at the time our consumption goes down a little bit, Chinese consumption is going up. So I think this summer, you should expect gasoline prices to be 10 to 20% higher than they are. But as those prices go up, people drive less or find alternatives. And so that's the response. But I think people are going to prepare for an expensive summer on the road.
Okay, so speaking of China, let's look internationally. A lot of news recently. So the EU saying it will stop almost all Russian imports by, I think, 8 months from now. We have the rumor, the possibility that Joe Biden might go to Saudi Arabia. We had an OPEC deal that will increase slightly. Break down sort of the global situation for us and what it all means.
Well, I think all the factors you talk about are factors that are really affecting and shaping and driving up oil prices. Certainly the ban on Russian oil imports into the EU, combined with declining Russian production, Chinese demand coming back. And the other thing is, while the OPEC Plus has said that they're going to increase production, it's not very much. And the thing that's kind of overlooked right now is there's a very thin amount of extra capacity in Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates to call upon. So basically, and by the way, it's not likely that there's going to be an Iranian nuclear deal, which would bring oil on the market. So all of those things add up to upward pressure on oil prices.
We hear about Saudi Arabia needing to produce more, but what about U.S. oil companies? Is it just capital discipline that's keeping them from pumping more oil? Regulation, something else?
Well, it's both of those things. Certainly, investors have made, there's a new social contract with investors, which is return money. And so you're not seeing that irrational, or maybe it's rational, exuberance of really people stepping it up. So that's part of it. The other is the same kind of supply chain problems you've been talking about that affect other parts of the economy, affect the oil and gas industry. I'll name two of them. One are pipes, and the other are people. Truck drivers, these are all in short supply. And so that's a hindrance as well.
My state of New York just temporarily cut its gas tax through the end of the year. Is that a good idea? And should the federal government do something similar?
Well, it is the gas tax pays for, I don't know about it in the state of New York, but the federal gas tax goes for roads. So you're saying you were taking away money that would go to roads. But you know what's really important about this, and I'm not sure, it will reduce prices a little bit, but the other thing is it's also tied into the fact that November is election time.
What would have to happen to get gasoline prices back to their pre-pandemic levels? And about how many years would it take to get enough electric cars on the road to meaningfully lower gas prices?
Well, it's slower in the United States than elsewhere. I mean, I am seeing more electric cars on the road where I live, but it's about 5% of new car sales in the U.S. It's about 20% in China and in Europe, so big difference there. It would, we think by 2027, maybe about 15% of gasoline demand would be reduced by the growth of electric cars. So it's not something that's going to have a big effect this summer and even next summer. But over time, of course, it will.
Daniel Yergin, there's a lot of moving parts to this story. It's great to have someone with your knowledge try to fill those in for us. Appreciate your time.